Okay, so based on the assignment that you gave the students, there is another way to give an assignment without using the OneDrive assignment app. It's going to be a little bit more involved on the student end because instead of working on it in a new window in the browser that opens up like they were attempting to do, students actually have to download the PowerPoint, work on it, save it, and then upload it, which I'll show you a tutorial on. I'll send it to you, but in the beginning it might be a little bit tedious for the younger students. So this particular assignment could be done actually as an assessment with a particular type of question. So let me just show you what I mean. So I have this test folder in Dave's course right now, and I'm going to just add an assessment into this folder. Even though it's not really an assessment, I'm going to call it fact or fiction assessment. Pick a due date so it shows up in your calendar, whether you're grading this or not. I'm just going to leave this as blank. I'm going to enable submissions. Don't worry about a password. Pick a category. I'm not going to grade this one. I'm not going to sync this to PowerSchool. That's what SIS is. And then I'm going to click Create. So this is just the basic information about the assessment. So on the next screen, you have some options here. You really don't have to really worry about much of this stuff. Instructions, you can put here exactly what they need to do. Complete the fact or fiction assignment below and submit. The only thing that you might want to adjust, allow the students to view results after an attempt is submitted. If you want them to be able to see what they did after they submitted, you can click on this. This way they can look back at their work. And if this was a real test, you could always adjust how many times they could actually submit it. This isn't really technically a test. There's just a test question in here that I think will work really good for this particular project that you're doing. So what you're going to do after you do that part is going to come over to questions. These are all the different types of questions that you can insert, but there's one in particular called highlight image, which I showed the math teachers how to use this, because what it does is it allows the students to annotate or write right on top of an image that you upload. Now that PowerPoint slide that you had on Fact or Fiction, PowerPoint slides can be saved as pictures. They can be saved as JPEGs, so the students could write on top of it. The only thing is that they can't type on it. They will be using either a stylus or their finger to actually draw on it. And I don't know if that's something you're going to want the students to do, depending on what their handwriting looks like, but it's actually a very easy way for them to do an assignment like this. So question setup, whatever the assignment is, fill out the fact or fiction worksheet below, write legibly. So what I did was I saved your slide as a JPEG. When you in PowerPoint, you go to File, Save As, and you name it. Below it, there's a drop-down menu. Instead of saving it as a PowerPoint, you can also save it as a JPEG, JPEG. So I'm going to go over, I saved it into my OneDrive, into Schoology. So here it is. This is a JPEG image. It will only accept images for this type of question. And I click Open. It uploads it. You don't see the whole thing here, not to fear. And I click OK. And you won't see it here. So if I go over to Preview Question, this is what it's going to look like on the student end. So they're going to get this slide, and they're going to get a little palette of colors, which they can click from, and then they can fill out all of this information here. And again, this could be messy, it may not be messy. It really depends on how well they write on the screen. So they'll be able to write directly on here, and then they'll be able to submit it, and it's done. And it's all within the confines of Schoology. There's no uploading, downloading, or any of that type of thing. So I'm going to just save this question type, and then I'm going to hop on over as a student in your class just so you can see what it looks like on their end. But it's pretty much exactly the same thing. So let me go over and pop on over to your course from a student standpoint. So I'm in as one of the students in your class, and I'm going to come over here and see Fact or Fiction Assessment. So they'll get this screen here. They are only allowed to make one attempt. They hit Start Attempt. So they're presented with this screen. And now they can use the color palette, and then they can, on their touchscreen devices, they can fill in with their finger or a stylus and write directly on here. Again, you can't typewrite on here, so whether this is going to come out as legible as you want remains to be seen, but there's a lot of different activities if you want the kids to annotate on top of something that this highlight image assessment question probably will be very useful to you. So that's how you would set that up. It's very simple. The students don't really have to do anything once they fill it out. They click on review. They can review it if they want to review it. If not, they click finish, and then they will be prompted to submit it, and that's it. They're done. So on your end, if I go back over, I'll go back over to your course over here. I will get a notification that somebody has submitted something, but the easiest way to look at student work is to go back over to the assessment. Live progress would actually show me if students had opened it and had started it, but you can see here one student has submitted it. I can switch this over by student. I can see Karen's needs to be graded, so I can click on this, and it actually shows you in live time exactly what they did. And then you could put a score here if you wanted to put a score here. So that's really about it. It's kind of a simple way to kind of get them started.